She was the most feared warrior in the galaxy. She had crushed empires, burned planets, and never, not even once, asked anyone for anything. Until today. Because today, she asked to marry a human. Not just any human, but a soldier from Earth who had no idea what he was walking into. Why does she want him? Why is the Alien Council trying to stop her? And what secret is she hiding that could destroy two worlds if the truth comes out? Before he can say yes, he has to survive something no human ever has. And by the end of this, either he marries her or he dies. Welcome to a brand new story in our human versus galaxy universe. My name is Michael and I'm the voiceover artist for this channel. Let's begin. She wasn't supposed to want him. He was dirty, tired, just a human soldier from Earth. But the alien princess saw something. Something no one else did. She ruled planets, broke armies, and yet she whispered just 5 words that shook the stars. What do I have to do to marry you, human? Why did the most dangerous woman in the galaxy fall for him? Why was the Alien Council afraid of it? And what was she really hiding behind that offer? This is not a love story. This is a war between tradition, power, and one impossible choice. Begin story, Part 1, The Scrap Dump Girl. Captain Jake Hunter wasn't on a mission anymore. He was stuck. His ship had crash-landed on Velar 9, a frozen outer moon filled with junk, broken machines, and scrap left behind from a 1,000-year war. This wasn't the capital city. No bright lights. No aliens in shiny armor. Just cold wind. And mountains of twisted metal. Jake had one goal: survive the night. He made a small fire inside the skeleton of an old battle drone. He didn't expect company. But then he heard footsteps. Fast, light, confident, not human. He grabbed his broken rifle and stood up. Out of the shadows came her. At first, he thought she was just a local scavenger. Dirty clothes. Gloves made from old wiring. Hair tied with scrap metal clips. But her eyes, sharp, bright blue, almost glowing. She walked straight up to him, dropped an old tech core at his feet, and said, "You fixing that radio or just staring at it?" Jake blinked. She spoke fluent Earth English. "Trying to fix it," he said. "But it's toast." She gave a small smile and knelt beside him. Without asking, she opened the panel and started working. Wires flew. Sparks lit her face. Her fingers moved fast, like she'd done this 100 times. In 5 minutes, the radio clicked on. "Try now," she said. Jake was stunned. "Who are you?" She stood, brushing snow off her pants. "People call me Trash Girl," she said. "I live here. I fix things." Then she turned and started walking away. Jake followed. "Wait, thank you." She didn't stop. "Don't thank me yet," she said. "You've got bigger problems." That's when the sound hit. A deep rumble in the sky. Engines. Valerian Hunter drones. Jake looked up. 3 of them. Scanning for signals. Armed. He ducked. The girl didn't. "They don't scan this place," she said. "Too much junk. I've made it invisible." Jake was impressed. "You're not just some scrap girl, are you?" She turned slowly. "No," she said. "And neither are you just a soldier." That night, she let him stay in her shelter, a huge metal dome built from old war machines. Inside was heat, power, food. Better than most army bases. Jake watched her move around, fixing parts, building things, drinking thick green liquid. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Saraxa." That name. Jake had heard it before. A name whispered in fear during human Valerian meetings. A name linked to war. "You're the Saraxa?" The war princess? She looked at him, cold and calm. Not anymore. Now I'm just a girl fixing broken things. Jake couldn't believe it. Why was a royal warrior living like this? She didn't explain. Instead, she handed him a piece of armor. Try this on. It'll protect you. Jake noticed it was alien-made, but sized for him. Like she'd been expecting a human. That night, as he tried to sleep, he asked one last thing. Why help me? Saraxa didn't answer right away. She stared at the glowing wall for a long time. Then she whispered. Because you're not afraid of me. Silence. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, Jake stared at the ceiling, mind spinning. What was she hiding? Why was she here? And why did he suddenly feel like this crash wasn't an accident, but a setup? To bring him to her. Jake didn't sleep much that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. The strange girl who called herself Saraxa. The same girl who once led an army that burned through 10 human colonies. Now living in a pile of junk, fixing radios, and offering him shelter? None of it made sense. Morning came fast. The wind had stopped, but something else filled the air. Tension. Jake stepped outside the shelter. Saraxa was already up, her face lit by the blue glow of her tools. You're leaving today, she said, without looking up. Jake nodded. Yeah. I've got to report back. HQ thinks I'm dead. She finally looked at him. Her voice was soft, but sharp. What if I told you, you can't leave yet? Jake paused. Why? She stood, slowly, armor now wrapped over her body. She didn't look like a junk girl anymore. She looked like a general. A queen. A threat. Because if you go now, she said, you'll die before reaching orbit. Jake raised a brow. That a threat? No, she said. A fact. And then, the ground shook. From behind the scrap hills, for giant beasts rose biomass built from muscle and metal, controlled by someone or something. They weren't there last night. Jake spun around. Who the hell are you really? Saraxa sighed. I tried to do this gently, she said. But you're Earthborn. You only understand force. The doors to her shelter opened wider. A glowing platform rose from below. It was circular, covered in strange runes. A trial pit. If you want to leave Velar 9, she said, you have to win the trial. Jake stared. What trial? The same one every Valerian male must win before marrying royalty, she said. Jake blinked. Wait, what? Saraxa stepped closer, her voice a whisper now. What do I have to do to marry you, human? This is what I have to do. Watch you survive the trial of flame. If you die, I forget you. If you live, I'll take you as mine. Jake felt like the air had left the planet. He looked at the giant pit. I didn't agree to marry you, he said. She smiled, dangerously. That's not up to you anymore. He could run. Try to find another ship. But even if he did, the drones, the beasts, the blizzards, he wouldn't make it 2 miles. And if I refuse? She didn't answer. But the biomass behind her growled, their bodies heating up, steam rising. Jake cursed under his breath. He had no choice. So he stepped onto the platform. Fine, he said. Let's do this. But when I win, you're going to tell me the real reason you dragged me here. Saraxa nodded, just once. Fair. The platform dropped. Jake fell into darkness. Then landed hard on hot stone. The chamber was huge, ancient, like a forgotten temple buried deep below the moon's surface. Walls glowed with alien fire. Traps hissed. The smell of oil and blood was thick in the air. A deep voice echoed around him. Begin. 3 doors opened. From the first came a shadow beast, all teeth and smoke. From the second, spinning blades controlled by floating drones. From the third, nothing. Just silence. Jake moved fast. He dived left, using his small size to dodge the blades. Rolled through a gap. Grabbed a fallen piece of metal and used it as a shield. He was outnumbered. Unarmed. Alone. But he had one thing they didn't. Human instinct. He didn't fight fair. He used tricks. Pressure points. Weak spots. His armor cracked. His shoulder bled. But he didn't stop. Above, Siraxa watched on a screen. Her heart raced. No one had ever made it this far. No non-Valerian had even tried. "Why is he doing this?" she whispered. The guards behind her said nothing. She didn't say it out loud. But she already knew. Jake wasn't doing this to win her. He was doing this to survive. And if he did, everything in the galaxy would change. Jake's body ached. Every bone. Every muscle. His face was cut. His left arm barely moved. But he was still standing. The trial wasn't over. Not yet. Behind him, the shadow beast was crushed beneath a fallen column. The drones were fried, sparks still rising from their metal shells. But the third door, the one that had stayed silent, was now wide open. Jake stepped closer. And stopped. The air changed. No heat. No sound. Only a thick, heavy silence. Then, she walked in. It wasn't another beast. It was a woman. Valerian. Tall. Pale skin. Silver armor. A long spear in her hand. Her face was calm. But her eyes were full of hate. Jake stepped back, confused. "Who are you?" he asked. She didn't answer. She just spun her spear and pointed it at his heart. Above the pit, Siraxa stood, frozen. "No, not her," she whispered. The guards behind her moved nervously. "You sent her?" Siraxa asked. "She volunteered," one of them said. "To prove you're not worthy of a human." Siraxa's fists clenched. "She'll kill him." The name of the warrior was Kovira, Siraxa's oldest rival. A Valerian elite. Stronger than most males. Faster than machines. She had trained for war. And now, she had only one goal. "If the princess wants a human," Kovira said, "then I'll send his broken body back to her." Jake didn't wait. He charged. No plan. Just instinct. His weapon was still just a sharp pipe. But he used it well. Kovira blocked the first strike. Dodged the second. Then kicked him hard across the room. Jake hit the wall, hard. His vision blurred. He stood again. Charged again. He wasn't faster. Not stronger. But he was relentless. Again and again, he swung. He ducked. He moved like a man with nothing to lose. And for a second, Kovira was surprised. He landed a blow. Just one. But it left a dent in her armor. She growled. "You bleed like all things," he said, panting. She hissed and attacked. Fast. Brutal. Her spear scratched his ribs. Blood flowed. Jake was on his knees. Kovira raised the spear for the final strike. "Tell the princess," she said coldly, "that her toy broke." She drove the spear down. But Jake rolled. Grabbed the edge of a broken drone. Shoved it between them. Kovira's spear pierced metal. Stuck. Jake didn't think. He slammed his pipe into the base of her neck, again and again. Until she dropped. Silence. He fell back, gasping. She didn't move. Above, Saraxa let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. He won, she whispered. He survived the pit. The guards stared at the screen, stunned. He's just human, one said. No, Saraxa replied. He's something else. An hour later, Jake stood in the royal chamber. His wounds were wrapped. His armor was cracked. But he stood tall. Saraxa walked toward him slowly, her expression unreadable. Then, she smiled. You've passed, she said. Jake stared at her. You still haven't answered my question, he said. Why do all this? She stepped close. Because I'm not allowed to choose who I love, she said. Unless he survives the trial. Now I can choose you. Jake didn't smile. He just asked. And what happens if I say no? Saraxa blinked. Then looked away. Then I kill whoever they try to marry me off to instead. And after that. She paused. I start a war. Jake didn't speak for a long time. Her words hit like a punch to the chest. If you say no, I'll start a war. Not a threat. Not a joke. Just the truth. Saraxa stood in front of him, shoulders straight, voice calm. But her hands were shaking. That's when Jake understood something. This wasn't just about love. This wasn't even about marriage. This was about freedom. They sat in silence inside the royal chamber. Outside the windows, the storm winds of Velar 9 howl through the metal mountains. Jake broke the silence first. Who's forcing you? She looked out the window. My father, the High General. He made a deal, she added. If I don't choose a mate in 3 days, I'm to be given to a warlord named Theryx. He's older, cruel, obsessed with uniting the outer moons. Jake frowned. So he wants your army. He wants my bloodline, she replied. And control over the Valerian fleets. Jake nodded slowly. And if you pick me? She looked at him, serious now. Then he'll lose everything he planned for. He'll come for us. Jake stood, rubbing his jaw. You pulled me into this. Dragged me here. Made me fight in your death pit, and now I've got some warlord hunting me down? Saraxa stepped closer. I never lied, she said softly. I wanted to choose you, but I also needed someone strong enough to survive. Jake looked into her glowing eyes. So I'm your way out? She didn't blink. You're more than that. You just don't see it yet. Later that night, Saraxa took Jake to a secret chamber. Inside was a glowing table, showing maps of different moons, fleets, and movement lines. These are Theryx's armies, she said. He controls 5 moons already. If he gets me, he'll control 9. And Earth? Jake asked. She paused. Earth's peace treaty would break. He doesn't want peace with humans. He wants to own us. Jake leaned on the table. You could have chosen anyone. No, she said. I couldn't. Only a warrior from Earth. Only someone the High General hates. Only someone with fire, and a reason to fight. You're the key to stopping this, or letting it burn. As Jake processed the weight of it all, a red light blinked over the table. A signal. Someone was approaching. Fast. It's him, Saraxa said. Theryx? No, worse. In a flash, Saraxa pressed a button. A wall slid open. Go, she ordered. There's a secret path. It'll take you outside the palace. Jake didn't move. What about you? I'll hold them, she said. No armor. No backup. Just you? She smirked. You forget who I am? Jake stared at her. Then shook his head. I'm not running. She opened her mouth to argue. But then the wall exploded. Smoke filled the room. Jake pulled her behind cover. Alien soldiers stormed in, armored, fast, silent. Not Therex's men. These were assassins. Sent by someone who wanted Syraxa gone, fast. Who the hell are they? Jake shouted. Syraxa answered with her fists. The fight was brutal. Jake used broken parts of the map table like a shield. Syraxa moved like a storm, spinning, kicking, breaking bones with precision. But the numbers kept growing. Jake took a punch to the ribs. Syraxa got a blade across her shoulder. They were losing ground. Just as the last assassin raised his blade, Jake grabbed a broken pipe from the floor and threw it straight through his chest. Silence. Only their breathing remained. Jake leaned against the wall, covered in blood. Syraxa sat beside him, her hair wild, armor cracked. "You sure you want to marry me?" she asked, half laughing. Jake coughed. "I haven't decided yet." Then he looked at her. "But I'm not leaving you alone in this." She smiled, for real this time. But behind her eyes, the war was still coming. And this time, it wasn't just her father she had to defy. It was the entire Valerian Empire. The palace was quiet again. Smoke still floated in the halls. Broken glass crunched under Syraxa's boots. Jake limped beside her, holding his ribs. They had survived the ambush. But that was just the start. The real storm was still coming. Syraxa led Jake to an old garden hidden deep inside the palace. A place from her childhood. It was one of the few spots that hadn't been touched by war. Glowing flowers lit the stone paths. A silver pond reflected the twin moons above. It was peaceful. But Jake knew it wouldn't last. They sat by the water, both tired, both quiet. Finally, Jake spoke. "How many people want you dead right now?" She thought for a second. 7. Maybe 8. "Nice," Jake said. "And how many want me dead?" "At least 10, she said with a small grin. "You're stealing their future queen." Jake chuckled, but then grew serious. "This marriage thing, is it real? Or just a way to stop a war?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she picked a glowing petal from the water and turned it between her fingers. "It started as a strategy," she said. "An escape plan. But then I saw you, back at the scrap dump. Just a human, freezing, injured, talking to me like I was normal. You didn't flinch. You didn't bow. You saw me." Jake looked at her. "And now?" She placed the petal in his hand. "Now I don't want to survive this war, if you're not standing next to me." The moment hung in the air, heavy. Jake wanted to say something clever. He didn't. He just leaned back, breathing in the strange air of this alien garden. "You've seen a lot of death, haven't you?" he asked. Syraxa nodded. "I was born during a war. Raised in one. Trained to end them. But no one ever trained me how to choose love." She looked at him now, differently. Her guard was down. Her voice softer. "If I could stop everything right here, freeze this moment, I would." Jake smiled. "You're not what I expected, Syraxa. I hope that's good." "It is." For a moment, they forgot the danger outside the palace. Forgot the armies waiting. Forgot Therex. The assassins. The Empire. In this garden, there were just two people. A tired soldier. And an alien girl who had once ruled death. But peace never lasts long on Velar 9. A distant bell echoed through the halls, deep, metallic, urgent. Syraxa stood instantly. "That's the summit bell," she said. "They're calling the council. To decide my fate." Jake stood, too. "You're going to face them?" "Yes," she said. "And so are you." Together, they walked toward the great hall. Down the long corridor. past the statues of Valerian queens before her. At the end of the hallway was a huge black door. Behind it, the council. The generals. Her father. And one decision. If Saraxa would be forced to marry a warlord. Or if she would break thousands of years of tradition. And marry a human. As they reached the door, Saraxa turned. Jake, if they ask you questions, don't lie. Don't try to sound royal. Don't play politics. Just be you. He nodded. That's all I know how to be. She smiled. But her hand trembled as she reached for the door. Because what came next would change not just their lives, but the future of two worlds. The doors opened. The great hall was cold. Silent. Heavy with judgment. 12 council members sat in a perfect circle, generals, scientists, priests, blood heirs of old wars. At the end of the chamber, standing above them all, was General Kalon, Saraxa's father. A man known for breaking planets and never breaking rules. His armor was black. His eyes were colder than space. He looked at Jake like he was filth. A bug. A joke. But Jake stood tall. Bruised. Wounded. Human. But unafraid. You bring shame to this hall, General Kalon said to Saraxa. You bring weakness. Saraxa didn't flinch. I bring choice. You bring a human, another councilwoman hissed. A soft creature from a soft world. A species that sleeps more than it fights. He survived the trial, Saraxa replied. He passed it with honor. The council didn't care. They never had. One of them, a thick-skinned warlord with glowing red eyes, stood. We should end this now, he said. Kill the human. Bind the princess to Theryx. Move forward. Enough delays. Jake stepped forward. You think I'm scared of you? No, the warlord smiled. I think you're already dead. You just don't know it yet. The council began their debate. Loud voices. Harsh tones. Arguments in alien dialects. Jake didn't understand every word. But he could feel the hate in the air. The fear. Because Saraxa wasn't just choosing a mate. She was breaking their bloodline. Changing a law written into their bones. I will not marry Theryx, Saraxa said, loud and clear. I have made my choice. And you have no right to change it. Her father stepped down from the high platform. He walked slowly, each step echoing like thunder. He stopped inches from Jake. Stared into his eyes. You are flesh. Weak. You bleed in seconds. You burn in days. You forget your own dead. What makes you think you deserve my daughter? Jake didn't blink. Didn't move. He just said. Because I didn't come here to take her. I came here to stand with her. Silence. The room froze. Even Saraxa's breath caught. General Kalon's fist clenched. Then you will prove it, he growled. In the final rite. Saraxa's eyes widened. No, not that. He's already passed the trial. Her father didn't care. A true bond must be witnessed. The fire bond ceremony. Before the gods and the blood of the first warriors. If he survives it, he may have you. If not, his bones will feed the ice fields. Jake stepped back, unsure. What's the fire bond? Saraxa turned to him and whispered. It's not just a test. It's a ritual that binds souls. It shows your true self. If you're not strong enough, it destroys you from the inside. Jake looked around the room. All eyes were on him. Waiting. Judging. He took a breath. Looked at Saraxa. You still want me to do this? She nodded once. Yes. Jake turned back to the council. Then light the fire, he said. Let's find out who I really am. The torches in the hall blazed to life. A circle was drawn in fire. In the center, Jake stood alone. Stripped of armor. No weapons. No shields. Just his thoughts. His fear. His heart. Saraxa watched, silent. Her hand over her chest. Praying that the fire would not take him. Because if it did, she wouldn't just lose him. She would burn the council down herself. The fire rose around him. Hot. Alive. Watching. This wasn't normal fire. It was ancient. Alive with memory. The firebond ceremony was more than just tradition. It was a living test. A soul mirror. It burned away lies. Fear. Weakness. And showed the world who or what you really were. Jake stood at the center. Eyes closed. Sweat on his brow. His mind swirled with voices, flashes, pain. He saw Earth. His squad. The war he left behind. He saw Sarax's face, the scrap dump, the trial pit, the garden. He saw her reaching for him. And the moment he almost walked away. Then the fire spoke. Not with words. But with weight. With truth. You do not belong here, the fire whispered into his mind. You are human. Weak. Short-lived. Forgettable. Jake stood still. Maybe, he whispered back. But I choose her. And that's more than you've ever done. The fire twisted. Flames turned blue. A ring of light burned around him. His skin screamed, but he didn't fall. His memories crashed against him. Childhood fights. Lost friends. Guilt. Pain. Regret. The fire tried to break him. But Jake didn't bend. He faced everything. Accepted all of it. And still chose to stand. I am what I am, he said. But I won't be less for you. I'm not a god. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man. Who won't give up. The flames rose higher. Then. Gone. Silence. The fire vanished. And Jake was still standing. Eyes open. Breathing hard. Burned, but alive. The council was frozen. Some whispered. Some stared. Sarax's eyes were wide with something no one had ever seen in her before. Hope. Jake stepped out of the circle. Every step slow. Heavy. But proud. The fire had tested him, and found no weakness that could break him. He wasn't perfect. But he was real. General Kalon stood. His face unreadable. He walked down and stood before Jake. Seconds passed. Then the general did something no one had seen in decades. He bowed. Just slightly. Just once. But it was enough. Valeria recognizes the fire bond, he said. The human is worthy. The room erupted. Some council members stood in protest. Others fell silent in shock. But Saraxa didn't wait. She ran to Jake. Grabbed him by the shoulders. You're insane, she whispered. You could have died. Jake smirked. But then you'd have to marry that warlord. She laughed and kissed him. In front of everyone. In front of history. And in that moment, the galaxy changed. Valeria would never be the same. Neither would Earth. Because one human, one broken, stubborn, honest soldier, had done what no alien had ever expected. He didn't conquer with power. He didn't destroy with weapons. He changed everything. With choice. Final line, narrator close. And that's the story of how the most dangerous alien princess in the galaxy asked a human one simple question. What do I have to do to marry you? And the answer? Nothing. Just don't let go.